What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is Ty with Opinionated Grind. I am back again today with yet another video, and oh boy, here we go. We're talking about the possibility of another government shutdown in 2026. You guys remember last year in October of 2025 how devastating that first shutdown was. You know, we're talking about what, guys? 43 days that the government was shut down. People lost their jobs. People were furloughed. You know, people's food stamps were affected. You know, they couldn't use the EBT. You know, all of the basic essential services that people depend on was vastly affected by this first shutdown. Okay, and a lot of the experts back then was telling folks to try to save your money, don't spend as much money. You know, try to be a little bit more prepared the next go around in case this happens again, which we all know this is pretty much like a yearly thing. This typically happens all the time. Sometimes it's averted, but most of the time it gets shut down. That's just the reality of the situation, okay? And I have some thoughts and opinions on that, especially with the very first shutdown that happened. There was a lot of back and forth between the Republicans and the Democrats. The Democrats wanted certain things, passed, when it came to, the Health Care Act, Obamacare, whatever you guys want to call it. Then of course the Republicans, is, certain things that they wanted out of the deal as well. And unfortunately, the middleman was the furloughed government workers, okay? So, unfortunately, guys, here we are again. And the crazy thing is, it's actually January 22nd, and they have until the 30th of this month to come up with some sort of solution in order to keep the government open. Now, what I find strange, guys, is the fact that even though they did mention this about 2 months ago, you notice how eerily quiet it's been as far from the House and the Senate, Congress, media. Nobody's really been talking about this government shutdown. Like, it's almost been on a hush, right? And now all of a sudden, Trump comes out today and makes this statement that, unfortunately he thinks, in his opinion, that the government's going to be shut down again. All right. So you guys remember all of the services that was unfortunately cut last year. We're talking about, of course, the federal workforce. It affected the military, national parks and museums, food safety, business loans, immigration, passports, the economic data. It was a lot that was affected, guys, from this government shutdown. So, hoping and praying, guys, that this is not going to be a repeat. But what I want to do is I pulled up some information I want to share with you guys from the Hill. And let me see if I can get this queued up, guys, because I want to kind of let you guys know, what Trump is saying himself about this entire situation. All right, guys, give me 1 second. Trying to pull this up real quick so we can go over this information. All right. So the computer acts the way it wants to act. All right, here we go, guys. So as you can see, it says that Trump predicts Democratic shutdown as funding deadline looms. All right, let's see, guys. Says, guys, that President Trump predicted Thursday that the U.S. is likely headed toward another shutdown before the funding deadline at the end of January. He says, I quote, "I think we have a problem because I think we're going to probably end up in another Democratic shutdown or Democrat shutdown," Trump told host Maria Bartiromo, I think I'm saying that right, guys, on Fox Business's Mornings with Maria. Let's see, guys. Furthermore, the prior shutdown cost us a lot, and I think they'll probably do it again. That's my feeling. We'll see what happens. He continued. Goes on to say, guys, that lawmakers in the House and the Senate have until January 30th to avoid a government shutdown. So far, they have passed 6 out of the 12 appropriations bills needed to fund the government. Last week, the House passed an additional two-bill package known as a minibus that would fund the State Department and the Treasury Department. Senators will take that minibus up after they come back from their recesses next week. So far, there appears to be little appetite among Democrats for another shutdown. All right. So, however, the Department of Homeland Security (DHS) appropriations bill has become a significant point of contention between both parties. Says, guys, the Democrats in the House and the Senate have called for an overhaul of immigration and customs enforcement after an officer fatally unalived an unarmed woman in Minneapolis. Democrats say they will oppose the DHS bill unless it includes tougher oversight and conduct guidelines for ICE officers. Lastly, everyone, the government shutdown began at the start of October. We're talking about 2025, and lasted 43 days. That shutdown was overextending Affordable Care Act subsidies. All right, everybody. So, that was quite a bit of information, but that was pretty much, the gist of what's going on. Hopefully, guys, this can be averted again, because we already know a lot of essential services always seem to be cut when this stuff happens. It affects everybody's pocketbook. But the funny thing about that is all of the congressmen are still getting paid. All of the lawmakers are still getting paid. They still receive a paycheck. But at the end of the day, you're the one that's not getting paid. You're the one that's vastly affected by the shutdown. You're the one that won't be able to pay your mortgage or your rent or, any other bills or expenses that you inquire due to the government shutdown, okay? Which is going to get you further and further behind, all right? So let me know down below in the comment section how you guys feel about it, man. Like I said, guys, they have until the 30th, and it just seems like, it's a possibility that this could happen again. Now, I did hear, guys, that, some of the other services is still going to be funded, or not really services, but some of the other government agencies. There's certain ones that's already fully funded, so they're not really going to be affected by the shutdown. But if it does shut down again, what services will be impacted in the long run? That's the $1 million question. All right. So again, comment down below, guys. Like the video, share, and make sure that you hit the subscribe button. Also tap the bell notification, so that way when Opinionated Grind uploads more videos, you guys will be in on it, and then that way, you stay in the loop. All right. So I definitely want to know you guys' thoughts and opinions on. Let's have a conversation, man. Hopefully President Trump is wrong in this whole situation, and these Democrats and Republicans can figure out something, man. Come together, both sides of the aisle, talk this thing out, man, and then we can keep this government funded, man. Because as you guys know, that snowstorm is coming soon, and people need their money. All right. So that's it, guys. Appreciate you watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.